Hi everyone, Tochi here today with a class on releasing yourself from bondage. I know you'll be wondering, how does this work? There are some times that we may find ourselves bound to certain places. We just can't seem to get away. We can't, it's just like we're stuck there, especially in certain cities, certain states, certain countries, certain regions, and we just want to up and away. There's something within us that says, I'm not supposed to be here, but you're just bound, and it's just like one problem after another just keeps you bound to that place. Okay, so it's like you have this lease, and then, or maybe you have a mortgage, or you have some payments, or you have this job that kind of lingers and never quite ends, but you can't seem to break it, or when you break it, another problem kind of arises, and then you're forced to enter into another agreement or contract or something that still keeps you bound to that place. And yet, with all these bindings to that place, you're not doing well. You're not moving forward. You're not progressing. So, in today's class, I'm going to share with you a little secret that has been used by many people, including myself, to free ourselves from being bound to a particular place or region. Okay, but before we get into today's class, I want to thank you for taking the time to be here with me and participate in this class. If you're not a subscriber, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button and also click on the notification button so that you'll know when I put out good material like this. And if you do enjoy my material, please give me a thumbs up, a like, so that it will encourage me to produce more material like this one. So now let's get into today's class. So I just briefly talked about being in bondage. There are just some times, let me share the story. There was a time I had gone to a certain state or city to live for a brief period of time. You know, it was like a contract position, and that contract didn't end well, and I wasn't doing well in that city. But I couldn't seem to get away because once that job contract ended, I still had a lease to contend with. And even if I had gone ahead to break the lease, I didn't have another contract job to go to. So even if I had left that area, I probably would have gone to another place without a lot of resources and try to start all over again. And, you know, things are not just coming through. I was interviewing for a whole bunch of other jobs that weren't coming through. I was just in the house doing nothing, you know, and it was so frustrating. And I remember some friends I had then, they were like, why don't you fast and pray? And I fasted and I prayed, and they gave me some verses out of the Christian Bible to pray. And I prayed all of those things, but nothing seemed to happen. Matter of fact, things were getting even worse for me. Before you knew it, I was involved in a motor accident. No fault of mine. Someone rear-ended my SUV and totaled my SUV. So now I was stuck in this place without a vehicle. You know, I had a little bit of whiplash. I was like at home for a week. Everything, my face was swollen. Everything was swollen. And because I was out of a contract, I didn't even have adequate health insurance to go get myself treated. Now, I did have the option of going to emergency, but then I would have been stuck with a huge bill to pay. So it was a totally terrible situation all around. And after a while, I came to realize that, look, there is something holding me here. There's something that's binding me here that really needs to let me go. And I decided to address that. And you can learn from my example what I did. So what did I do? Now, the first thing I did was to go outside where I lived. I just went outdoors. And it was a nice little complex where I lived in. And, you know, there was a lot of landscaping, beautiful landscaping and trees and everything and whatnot. And what I did was I bent down and I grabbed some of the soil of that place. So let me do a demonstration. And it doesn't have to be too much soil. Probably just a couple of teaspoons of soil. But, something like this. And I put soil like this. And you can see it's not a lot of soil. That's not a lot of soil. And I put that in my dominant hand. And I called upon my Creator and I said, my Creator, witness my predicament. My guardian spirit, I want you to bear witness to my predicament. I call upon my ancestors, my female and male ancestors. Please be witness to my predicament. I call upon all my spirit guides, the messengers, the prophets, be a witness to my predicament. And I said, to the sun, be a witness to my predicament. To the earth, be a witness to my predicament. And then I had this soil. Remember, I picked up this soil, just got some soil from the ground, and I held it in my hand. And I mentioned the name of that place. I mentioned the name of the city. I mentioned the name of that state. And I said, I call upon the spirit of this city. And I mentioned the name of the city. And I call upon the spirits over this state. And I mentioned the state. And I said, I am asking you to free me from here. I am not moving forward. Nothing is going well for me. For some strange reason, I am being bound to this place. And with all those who are assembled around me, I ask you to release me. Release me peacefully. Release me lovingly. If there's any way I have offended this land and the spirits of this land, I ask to be forgiven and released. Please release me. Please work with my guardian spirit and all my ancestors to release me from this land. I am not doing well here. I am in bondage here, and I'm asking to be released. Thank you, Ashe. And then I took that soil and I just tossed it back on the ground, turned around and went back indoors. And I want to say within a month, I was out of there. I got a beautiful contract that paid a lot much more than what I had been earning when I first came to that place. With that contract, I was able to purchase a luxury vehicle and be all situated already before I had to go to my next contract. Very simple. Now, the spiritual principle behind this is that every region, every city, every area that we live under does have its own guardian spirit or ruling spirit. And I know that in religion, this concept of the ruling spirit of an area has been very much demonized. And so that's why you'll see people that will go to like the Christian Bible and they'll read about Daniel and how he prayed and for 21 days. And then later the angel Michael came to him and said, hey, I heard your prayer, but I would have come early. I just had to fight the prince of Persia. Okay. But the interesting thing I think we should note about this story is this. There was a ruling spirit, and the archangel Michael had to fight with that spirit to release Daniel, or whoever the prophet was. Okay, I believe it was Daniel. Okay, so we can see that the spirit that is ruling an area can also, in a sense, bind or keep people in those areas. And it's very simple as making a plea and saying, you know what, I'm not doing well here. I would like to go. If you or a loved one are in a place where you do not wish to be and your life is not moving forward, consider using this simple prayer and ritual to see if it will affect your release. Again, all you have to do is to get some soil. It doesn't, just make sure it's the soil of where you are. Okay, it's the soil of where you are, where you want to be released from. Get some of that soil, make that prayer according to your beliefs and practices, and then throw that soil. Now, I know someone is probably going to write and say, do I put the soil in the garbage? Do I put it in a trash can? Do I just throw the soil back on the ground where you got it? It's that simple. Let's not make this more complicated than it has to be. You picked up soil from the ground, you made your prayer, you made your petition, and after you release it back to the ground. You don't have to carry the soil anywhere. You don't have to take it indoors. You don't have to take it to your altar. You don't have to take it to your church or your temple or your synagogue or your masjid, your mosque. You don't have to take it anywhere else. You can just stand right there and make this prayer. I find that this prayer is pretty effective when you do it barefoot. So, where it is possible, stand barefoot on the ground when you make this prayer and ask the spirits of that land where you are, the spirit of that city, that state, that country where you are. Ask them to release you. Don't go screaming and shouting and bringing attention to yourself. It can be done very quietly. The person next door doesn't need to know what you're doing. Speak frankly and speak from the heart. I desire to be released. I am not doing well here. I don't know what's going on here. But please release me. Please work with my guardian spirit. Work with my ancestors. Cooperate with them. I desire to be released from here. We can even do this for our loved ones. But we would have to go to the land where our loved ones are. If our loved ones cannot do it for themselves, then we can go to that place where our loved one is and take the soil, take the earth, take the sand. Whatever you can get from the ground there, you take it and use it for this ritual. I know someone will ask me, well, I live in a concrete city. Well, my dear, you would have to go around that city and find yourself some soil. You will have to make the effort to find the soil. Someone else might ask me, well, I have a loved one or someone, can I ask them to do it on my behalf? No. For them to do it on your behalf, they will have to come to where you are and get the soil from where you are to do it for you. So instead of having someone come from somewhere to come and grab the soil where you are, can't you do it yourself? This whole thing should not even take you more than 2 minutes to do. Again, speak sincerely, speak authentically and honestly from the heart. Our spiritual entities that surround us and that our Creator has put in place, they're not wicked. I know religion has demonized again a lot about the spiritual life and spiritual practice. But remember, spirits are neutral. They can act for good and they can act for bad. And when they act for good, we say they're good because they acted in our favor. But when they don't act for good, we say they're evil because they did not act in our favor. Spirits, spirit entities, spirit energies are neutral. Spiritual principles, spiritual laws, they are neutral. So I hope that you enjoyed this quick class on using soil from where you are to free yourself from bondage. Be creative. Find a variety of ways you can use this soil to release yourself from different kinds of bondage you might find yourself under when you are in a particular place. Again, this is for bondage. If you find you cannot move away from a certain place, you're always stuck there, you can't get away, you can't move forward, and you just happen to be stuck in that place. I think this might work quite well for you if you do it well and if you do it sincerely. As usual, we end our class with our invocation and we say, Thank you to our Creator for creating all these things in place for us to use to our own advantage. We're thankful to our guardian spirits for being with us, protecting us, counseling us, and showing us wisdom. We're thankful to our ancestors for supporting and loving us and sacrificing so that we could be here today. We're thankful to all those in the invisible realms who help and support us in a variety of ways. Ashe.